Hey, and welcome to MAWS Talks Wrestling. I am your co-host, Lunakage.
And I'm Glenburg. What's up, guys?
Tonight, we got quite a bit to talk about, actually. We got Daniel Bryan and his anti-turn, I guess. Got
Yeah, lasted for
Royal
like,
Rumble. Yeah, we got like a whole bunch of stuff. You
yeah,
made a list, right?
yeah, I did. And this actually will be our second episode. If you guys didn't catch our first episode, it's already on our channel. Just check it out when you get a chance.
Yeah, we didn't officially have a name back then, so I guess you could say it was our pilot episode.
Yeah, true.
It made anime wrestling scene,
Yep,
and
Midwest. Yeah.
and let me explain that name a little bit because I don't want people to be confused by the word anime in the title. Basically, me and Glenn here, we are big fans of anime and wrestling.
Indeed.
And a lot of times, when you listen to other talk wrestling shows, you will hear from guys who are fans of sports or just guys who are pretty much just identify as wrestling fans. And you don't really hear about people who are into the, more niche subjects that also like wrestling passionately. And that's just kind of a little gimmick. And we're both from the Midwest. I currently live in Michigan, whereas Glenn lives in Chicago. So basically, we got Kevin Nash and CM Punk over here,
I like that.
and my name is Kevin, and I am big sexy, so it works for me.
Cool,
Uh,
cool.
yep, and that basically explains that. We might have other people make guest appearances who are also from the Midwest area, and identify as anime, fighting game fans or whatever. But for now, it's just me and Glenn talking the shit about wrestling.
Yeah,
Uh,
ultimately, that's kind of what sets us apart. Is not just being pure wrestling fans.
yeah, we got other interests, and not all anime fans are moe moe kawaii ugu fucking nerds and shit. Although there's nothing
Otaku.
wrong with them,
Yeah,
because I have quite a few friends that are like that, and I think they are moe moe kawaii desu.
yeah,
Yeah, they're good guys. But anyway, that's just who we are.
true.
So with all that said, let's get on with the show. What do we got?
So yeah, might as well get right to the point. So the Daniel Bryan and Wyatt family experiment only lasted like 5 minutes. Like
Yeah,
we already saw, like the first SmackDown that they fought on. It's like they already were having problems. No, the Raw and then SmackDown. Like they couldn't even team up correct. They lost the first match.
yeah. It seemed to only last. They seemed to only go one full Raw while actually being a part of a stable, because like they made the turn 2 weeks ago, and then last week they were still kind of getting going, and then this week all hell broke loose, and then Daniel Bryan is officially, as far as I can tell, no longer a member. Either that or he usurped the throne, but I highly doubt that's the case,
Uh,
because I feel like stripping off his janitor clothes was symbolic of,
Yeah, that was pretty obvious. I'm back with the WWE Universe,
yeah,
and he pretty much had a 7-day trial with the Wyatt family.
right. I mean, like there could be a lot of speculation as to why it was so short. Like, I still don't believe it was a heel turn at all. Everyone's saying it was a heel turn. I don't think it was, because Daniel Bryan didn't really do anything to really fully go heel. Like, at that point, he was just a fan favorite who was with a heel faction. Although, I guess you can make an argument that he wasn't hesitant to brawl with some babyface superstars, because after they lost their match, what was it, the second week? The first week after they got together.
Oh, the Usos match.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
he didn't hesitate to come in there and start trying to whip ass before Usos like got out of Dodge.
yeah,
But like that, thing. So I don't know. Like I still don't see it as a real heel turn, and we wouldn't have known if it would have been a real heel turn unless they would have went longer with the storyline. But as far as I can tell, I don't think it was premeditated to only last this long. I think due to fans being confused and not wanting to stop being behind Bryan, I'm pretty sure they just said, fuck it, we can't keep doing this, let's turn them back,
Yeah, the fans really do have a voice, especially when it comes with the WWE nowadays. It's like, and that's pretty common in pro wrestling nowadays. People will still cheer for heels, so if they're good enough.
Yeah. But let me tell you one thing, though. The reaction that Daniel Bryan got that night when he, turned face again, using quotes.
Yeah.
Reaction that he got when he did that was like loud as hell. I don't think it would have been nearly that deafening if he would have just been, fucking just himself the last couple of weeks. I think just the fact that you put the seed in people's minds that Daniel Bryan was going to be, just a heel guy, like maybe some people thought he was going to be demoted to the mid-card again.
Right.
Even though I don't necessarily think that's the case. But planting that seed in people's minds, it made them all the more excited when you found out, hey guys, psych, and then he just starts beating ass. So not only did you have the heat that he got from finally being able to get his hands on Bray Wyatt, but you also had that heat that he had freaking from the crowd that just wanted him to still be on their side, and getting that validation that he was still on their side.
Yeah, basically they hit the reset button and allowed him to be even popular as ever.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't a reset button so much as a new game plus, because he had all the shit that he had in game, but he's got it now at the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like.
But I did hear one rumor that kind of upset me a little bit. I heard somewhere, I can't remember the site's name. I'm going to have to get better on that when I have to actually remember my sources. But I heard somewhere that's during the cage match, Daniel Bryan got a concussion.
Really?
Yeah, a serious one. And from what they're saying, he's going to be off TV for a while. And that's not good.
Especially after he just turned face again. So
right,
I wonder...
they're going to want to see him again ASAP, at least by Raw. Was he on SmackDown at all?
He was not on SmackDown. SmackDown, it just had the Wyatt family doing Bray Wyatt was just doing a promo about Sister Abigail, all that stuff, Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to make the Wyatts take him out to make it look like that's why he's going to be off TV.
I mean, yeah, an injury angle would be decent, but again, I've never had a serious concussion myself, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long a wrestler's going to be out with a concussion, maybe he could be back in time for Raw this week,
It's a good question. It could be limited. It can be temporary.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. It wasn't really a full-fledged heel turn, because if it's usually a heel turn if he started talking crap about the fans, he never really just started saying, I don't need you people. It was more so he was just saying he doesn't hear their chants, and he was just under the spell of the Wyatt family.
Right. Something like that, I don't consider that a heel turn at all. When there's like I said before, I think I said it in our first episode, but this was basically just to make Daniel Bryan more aggressive. That's the only reason why he wanted to be in the Wyatt family. So, and he's already become more aggressive, at least kayfabe wise, because the beating that he laid down on Bray Wyatt there, that was pretty hardcore. As long as he can keep up, that kind of attitude, maybe we can have a pint-sized Stone Cold, just running around whipping people's ass.
They're giving him some of that Ring of Honor juice.
Right. And another thing, if you saw some of the backstage Fallout segments that they post on YouTube, they're kind of like kayfabe interviews with superstars.
Yeah.
like they interviewed CM Punk and a few other people about Bryan's deciding to join the Wyatts, and the babyface guys, they were just like, yeah, man, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, Like normally in a situation like that, a guy who's a babyface would be like, I can't believe Daniel Bryan would turn out all of his fans like that, but they didn't say any of that. So like, I'm thinking that it wasn't supposed to be a heel turn anyway.
It reminds me of when Cena was under the Nexus control, where obviously it wasn't a real heel turn, but it was just he was kind of affiliated with them during the time.
Like it's slightly different because like Daniel Bryan did join on his own volition and was like trying to adapt the ways, but like it is a similar situation where it's it's a guy who's not a heel being affiliated with a heel faction.
True.
For whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So what do you think? Now that the Royal Rumble is soon, isn't it? Not next week, is it?
It's
not
very
next week,
close.
but the week after.
The WWE Royal Rumble 2014 will take place on January 26th.
26.
And
so that's 2 weeks.
Yep. So there's a lot of people who have the potential of winning this. It was funny. The Shield cut like a promo on SmackDown about, Renee was interviewing him saying like, so if it came down to you three guys, would you throw each other over? And Dean Ambrose was like, oh no, we're all brothers. And Seth was like, of course I'd throw you over in a second. It's all men for themselves. And then like, of course, Roman is like, I'll throw you guys out in a second. Regardless, the Shield's going to still be a tag team. And then like, trying to play it off. Let's see. They've pushed the hell out of Batista, especially in the commercials.
Here's my thing about Batista. Basically, it seems like people assume that there's only two camps. The one camp, loves Batista and wants him to win the Rumble, and the other camp hates Batista and doesn't want him to win the Rumble. And I think that's kind of stupid because I like Batista, but I don't want him to win the Rumble. And it's not because it's Batista winning, even though I think that would be kind of boring in general. I think it's not even about him. I think like there are so many other wrestlers that should win it this year.
I was just gonna say, I'll let you finish your thought, then I'll say what I was gonna say.
Like the way I see it, two of the guys that I especially think deserve it would be either CM Punk or Daniel Bryan. Like especially Daniel Bryan because like he's hot as fuck right now. If he won the Rumble, like how like ridiculous that would be for him, and like just they know now that he's going to be challenging for the title at WrestleMania. Like that shit would be fucking insane.
It'd be really good after all of that, those screw jobs with Triple H and Orton.
Oh yeah, that'd be vindicating as fuck.
Yeah.
And then CM Punk, basically just because like we know CM Punk doesn't have much time left. Like he wants to retire like within the next couple of years. And what hasn't CM Punk done yet? He hasn't won the Rumble, and he hasn't main evented WrestleMania. I mean, technically he hasn't beaten the streak, but I think challenging for the streak is like an accomplishment.
That's a bucket list thing, yeah.
Right. So like, if he wins the Rumble, then he would immediately have his main event spot at WrestleMania, and then boom, the two things off your bucket list are done. Now he can retire with no regrets. It could be a career like well served, Yeah. And I think that would be a big feel good moment just for him in general, but also because I'm biased because he's my favorite wrestler. So, but I mean, storyline wise, I guess it would make sense for. I don't know. I mean, storyline wise, there's only two people three, I guess technically in contention for the title, and that's John Cena, Randy Orton, and Brock Lesnar. So, let's just assume that Brock Lesnar is going to challenge Cena or Orton, whoever wins, at Elimination Chamber, because that's the only pay-per-view between now and WrestleMania.
True.
Well, between the Rumble and WrestleMania. So let's assume he challenges for that. If he loses, then I don't know. But assuming he wins, and I'm pretty sure he's going to win. Like, it doesn't matter against who. I think he's going to win. That would set up a main event between the Royal Rumble winner and Brock Lesnar. So storyline wise, you've got different avenues to pursue here. Like, let's say the three most likely guys to win the Royal Rumble. Let's say it's Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, or Batista, right?
Right.
You can for either one of those guys versus Brock Lesnar, you could go anywhere. Like, Batista versus Brock Lesnar, as much as I personally wouldn't want to see that as the main event at WrestleMania, like, that sells itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's two big, ridiculously tough, ass-beating guys. A title match with two Goliaths. That's just like standard shit right there. Like, you can't go wrong with that. It's a safe bet, and if they go with that, I can't say that they're wrong for it, but it's not the match I want to see, just personally. CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar. If CM Punk wins the Rumble and Brock Lesnar's champion, then it would be a rematch from SummerSlam.
That'd be really interesting because of how Paul Heyman is involved too.
Right.
So yeah.
And that would write itself. A rematch angle. Punk lost the first time, so not only is he looking for the championship, but he's looking for his vengeance.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Bryan, if he wins the Rumble and has to fight Brock Lesnar, then that's a David and Goliath story.
I was just about to say that, yep.
Yeah. And that writes itself. So all three of those guys, perfectly viable, and would have, like, a perfectly reasonable story going in against Brock Lesnar for the main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Lesnar really fits an end boss. He really fits, right?
Like, and that's the only reason I could see them putting the title on Brock Lesnar, because he's a part-time guy like The Rock was.
Yeah, and The Rock had the belt before Mania.
Right. So they could be doing a similar storyline, or not a similar storyline, but just a similar situation where their part-time guy's going to have the title until WrestleMania and maybe drop it afterwards, or maybe, like, if Brock Lesnar wins it, maybe they'll let him do, like, very few actual appearances, because he's not supposed to make a lot of appearances.
Yeah. But
maybe they'll let him keep it like The Rock had it, but have him keep it until maybe SummerSlam or something. Like, have him keep it for a while. I don't know.
Now this is a thought. Now, say somehow it ended up being like Punk or Bryan, but with Batista coming back, what else do you think they would have Batista do? Since they unified the belts now, so.
They're already teasing Alberto Del Rio versus Batista.
Yeah. Which
we haven't seen, but I couldn't imagine anybody actually being hyped for.
No.
So it's probably just going to be a throwaway match. Like, what I'm thinking is, if Batista doesn't win the Rumble, like, everyone, well, a lot of people at least, thinks he's going to win. But if he doesn't, then it's probably going to be because of Del Rio. So, like, that already would set up a storyline between the two, and, Batista can whip his ass, because there's no way Del Rio is going to be beating Batista.
So you think they'd probably want to build up Batista a little bit more before putting him back into the title picture, if that was the scenario and he didn't
Maybe
win?
a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Alternatively, assuming Brock Lesnar is going to challenge for the title at Elimination Chamber, he's probably not going to do it in the Chamber match. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I said during our last episode that it would probably him being in the Chamber match, but I'd forgotten, unless I'm wrong about this too, I'd forgotten that when The Rock was champion after Royal Rumble, he had a rematch with Punk at Elimination Chamber, but it wasn't in a Chamber match.
Yeah, it was not, nope.
So what I'm thinking is if they go that route and it's like, say Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar, which is two heels, so I don't get it. Let's just assume that Randy Orton wins. It's Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar in a straight one-on-one match in Elimination Chamber. Then they're going to have to do something to make the actual chamber match have some kind of meaning. So it might be for a number one contender spot at some point. Like maybe not at WrestleMania because that's already the Rumble winner.
Yeah.
But a number one contender spot. So that could be, they could put the two of the guys that didn't win the Rumble in there, like, Punk, Bryan, Batista, whichever two of those guys didn't end up winning the Rumble, and then a couple of other guys, like even throwaway guys that aren't going to win, like Kofi Kingston and shit. He's been in a few of those. You knew he wasn't going to win. Yeah. He was just in there.
Just to make it kind of hype it up, do a couple
high spots and shit, yeah. But yeah, like it could be for a number one contender spot, like maybe at fucking Extreme Rules. It would kind of make sense because Elimination Chamber match is Extreme, number one contender at Extreme Rules, whatever, maybe, I don't know. And if that was the case, say that we don't get the Batista versus Lesnar match at WrestleMania, maybe have Batista win that Elimination Chamber, put him in the chamber match, have him win it, and then whoever wins the WrestleMania match, they have their match at Extreme Rules, because assuming that Lesnar doesn't retain at WrestleMania because of his limited appearance, his limited schedule, it would make sense that he doesn't immediately have his return match, his rematch to get the title back, like the next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So have Batista run for the title against whoever won it. Like, let's just say Daniel Bryan, for the sake of argument here. Daniel Bryan wins at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar. It's a big feel-good moment because, once again, David beat Goliath. Now he's WWE champion again, officially. Mm-hmm. No screwjob finishes, no authority taking away the belt. He's the man right now.
Yeah.
Then he goes on to face whoever at Extreme Rules. Like, let's say Batista won, and he fights Batista. Now we've got another fucking David and Goliath situation. But this time, I don't know, as much as I wouldn't want to see him lose it right away, maybe Batista actually beats him. Or maybe he doesn't, and then they face off at the next pay-per-view, and then he takes it then. But either way, the next big pay-per-view we have, like SummerSlam, that's when Brock Lesnar comes back and wants his rematch because he lost the title. Mm-hmm. And then he finally has his fight with Batista, who's the champion at the time. And then you have your, two Goliath guys face at it. Like, the exciting thing about this road to WrestleMania in particular is that there's just so many ways you could go about it. Like, that's just one possible outcome that I listed, just one out of a million possible outcomes. And I'm actually really excited to see who wins the Rumble.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sets the tone for 2014 post WrestleMania.
Right. Like, the last two Royal Rumbles, the ones that I was conscious for, I really didn't care about that much. Yeah. And who ended up winning? Like 2 years ago, Alberto Del Rio won. Who gives a fuck? Or was he the one before? I know Sheamus won not a super long time ago. But anyway, like the last three winners, Alberto Del Rio, Sheamus, and then John Cena. Like, all three, it's like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah,
I didn't care
not
about.
Memorable.
Yeah, like I didn't care about any of those. And like the last three Rumble matches, I went in not caring. It's like I didn't care because like I didn't have a reason to. But now it's like there's like so much extra excitement just for like, oh man, who's going to win the Rumble? Like there's so many guys around, and I keep hearing people saying that there's not a lot of stars nowadays as opposed to like, the Attitude Era and stuff, but I disagree. I mean, with the exception, or not the exception, but with the addition of the part-time guys like The Rock and Brock Lesnar and Batista, who's not technically a part-time guy, but he's still not going to be I think he's only got a year contract right now. But you've also got CM Punk, John Cena, Daniel Bryan. Like, that's already a lot of guys, like, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you don't have guys that are, like, super crazy dark horses. Like, back in the day, you had Chris Jericho, who was, like, one of those eternal top guys. Like, even if he was in the mid-card, people considered him, like, a main event guy.
Yeah, that's a good place to have.
Right. But, you got quite a few guys, and as long as they keep going with it, like, maybe next year, and I've been watching a lot of the WrestleManias, like, recently, and it's surprising how quickly that you could go from undercard tag team to main event in a year.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania 20, for example, the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw, were in a tag team scramble match, I think they called it.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't win. Like, it was early in the card. It was a tag team match, so no one cared about it. But the next year, WrestleMania 21, fucking Bradshaw is the WWE champion facing John Cena, who also was, just a guy challenging for a mid-card title.
And that was just a year.
It was just a year. Like, it can change so quickly. So, like, we could easily see fucking Antonio Cesaro be a main event guy next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could go from, like, jobber tag team to fucking main event superstar within a year.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing. If you're running it with an idea for a long time, like, let's just wait till the idea gets phased out at the end of the year and see if we want to bring it into the following year post WrestleMania.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you never know.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the Royal Rumble match, though, has the random factor. Like, I guess it's not 100% obvious that Batista is going to win because there's people in there who can still go a legitimate route, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Like I said, I think, like, if Batista, I think there's a chance that he could win, but I think it's more likely that Batista will get screwed over in the Rumble match. Like, I don't think they're going to immediately throw him into the main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he's going to not have a match at WrestleMania. Like, he's probably going to be there. And as much as Alberto Del Rio versus Batista is a match that not too many people want to see, it's still a match that no one has seen.
True. He's like the perfect opponent to fight for Batista returning back, just somebody talking crap, but Batista's gonna most likely steamroll.
Right. And the thing about it is, the big reason why I don't care about Del Rio is because I don't care about Del Rio.
Yeah, his character's kind of boring.
Yeah, if you throw him, that doesn't take away his wrestling ability. You throw him in there with somebody that people give a shit about, and suddenly you've got a good match. But it's the big reason why whenever I see Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena, I'm like, what the fuck? I don't give a shit. It's like, I know John Cena's Superman. I know Alberto Del Rio is fucking, I hate him because I don't give a shit. And, you just get a match that I don't give a shit about. But you throw him against somebody that you do care about, and suddenly you've got a good match because Del Rio can go, and even if his opponent can't go, he can maybe carry the match a little bit. Like, if we were to see legitimately Daniel Bryan versus Del Rio for, like, the WWE Championship, like, if that was a thing, suddenly I would be into it because they would have a good match because it's two guys that can fucking put on a show.
Yeah.
And Alberto Del Rio can play the heel well. So, like, every time he goes for a pinfall, your heart's skipping a beat because you're like, I don't want this motherfucker to win again.
Yes.
And it would make it just all the better when Daniel Bryan wins. It's like the same idea with Batista. Like, Alberto Del Rio is not exactly a monster killer or anything, but, through a good storyline, maybe he can make you believe that he could win, and then I mean, he beat Sheamus, and Sheamus is in a similar category to Batista. Like, obviously, he's not as imposing as Batista is, because Batista's a fucking genetic mutation of a human being.
True.
But he's in the same category, a big brawler who doesn't do any technical moves or high flying and just whips ass.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder. It's kind of it's still related to the Rumble, but I wonder what's going to be the state of the Shield, like post WrestleMania, and it's kind of obvious at this point that Roman Reigns is going to get some sort of push down the line.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me nervous to think about any one of those guys not being in the spotlight.
You know, we touched on it a little bit in the last show about, you know, feeling like they might start in the mid cards before really getting to the main events. So
yeah, like you know, those guys have been part of and like when I say main event, I don't always like mean title guys, you know, like WWE Championship. When I say main event, I mean like when they're involved in storylines that people care about. You know, like they're in the spotlight. And those guys, you can't argue that they've been main event guys since they've showed up. You know?
Yeah.
When they break up, it really worries me that even one of those guys is not going to be that, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does kind of look like they're going to go with Roman Reigns mainly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking a little bit about it, and I was thinking maybe they don't break up before WrestleMania. Maybe they break up afterwards. Maybe whatever match they're involved in at WrestleMania is the thing that finally pulls the trigger and gets them pissed off at each other. Because WrestleMania is a big stage. So
for you to not succeed.
Right. So no matter how tightly knit you guys are as a group, if there's already like dissension, and then you go into WrestleMania and lose, that could just set off, finally break the camel's back, and then, you know, the final breakup, and then maybe you get like a Shield triple threat or whatever, like I was talking last time. You know, you never know. It could be anything.
Yeah, best of series with the Shield.
Yeah. But, you know, I'd hate to see any of those guys go. You know, like, all three of those guys are good in the ring. They're all good on the mic in their own little ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to see them all stick around.
Yeah, me too. Well, yeah. So, yeah, we've been talking a bit about the Rumble, the potential of 2014 with WWE. So maybe we can go ahead and switch gears and, you know, let's talk about that new WWE network.
Yeah.
So that actually seems like a genius idea on WWE's part because they actually have the history and the archive to do it. And yeah,
I think it's better for us than it is for them.
Think so?
I think so, because I'm not, you know, like, I don't work for them, so I don't know. But to me, basic math would just indicate that they're kind of coming up behind on it. Because if you think about it, you know, all the things you get with the network, like just taking away all that extra shit, just say that even if you only got the monthly pay-per-views,
yeah, you're
now paying $9.99 for pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Instead of $55.
See, this is what I think happened, because people stopped purchasing pay-per-views because, you know, the rise of streaming websites.
Right.
And who is going to pay $50 on a pay-per-view that they're not confident is going to be spectacular? Like, I don't think I would have paid $50 to see WWE Payback with Cena versus Ryback. You know, so.
I mean, as far as I can tell, the only way they're going to actually turn a profit, and this is just me speaking, I don't know anything for sure, because like I said, I don't work for them.
Yeah.
But in order to turn a profit, you need to be selling, like, there needs to be 7 times the amount of subscribers as there are people who normally buy pay-per-views in order to actually make it worth it. Like, assume that a pay-per-view, like, on average, let's assume that it gets 1 million buys. Then you would need at least 7 million subscribers to actually make it more than what you would get from that 1 million pay-per-view buys.
Yeah. So the way I'm also seeing it is, while it is $9.99 per month, they're asking for us to pay $60 up front because it's a 6-month commitment. And I think this type of network would appeal to what's their biggest market, young fans.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the young fans want to know, ooh, I want to see D-Generation X, and
I mean,
on Pass or Attitude Era, because that was like the big deal back then.
Yeah. Like with the WWE Network, not only do you get the monthly pay-per-views, but you also get like the entire archives of WWE,
Raw and SmackDown. Yep.
Yeah, Raw, SmackDown, fucking past pay-per-views. You get WCW, ECW. Like, it's really a fucking dream.
It is.
Like, it's something that I want. Like, I would totally get it, but that price tag, despite being a good deal, not everybody can drop $60 immediately.
Up front. Yeah,
like,
I know what you mean. Like, everyone doesn't always buy a new PlayStation 3 game or whatever 360 game up front.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I can afford $10 a month, no problem. But making me spend $60 up front, like with this little preparation, I mean, maybe after the first 6 months, I'll actually have the money saved up to keep going with it. But I don't know if I'll be able to get a subscribership as soon as it gets open, as much as I would love to, because like I don't really have the money to drop on it right away. I mean, maybe if I knew about it 6 months ago,
right,
I could have started saving up. But as far as I knew, they were just going to be $9.99. So I was like, yeah, I could drop $10 a month, and then they're like, yeah, by the way, you need to pay for 6 months in advance every time.
It's
like,
always
fuck.
It's always funny when marketing is done that way, because it's like, yeah, for a low price, like you go to a gym membership, pay as low as $20 per month, and then like you understand, you're not just gonna be paying like $20.
Yeah, you're gonna be paying fucking $100 or so up front first.
Yeah, one-time fee.
But it's definitely a good deal, and I want it. Like, I want to be able to subscribe as soon as possible, because, as easy as it is to look up streaming sites, like, the quality's always shitty.
It is. I mean? It's always going to be, especially when the streamers it drops, and then you have to find another one. Yeah,
which happens a lot. So, like, honestly, I would love to have WrestleMania 30 on my big screen in full HD. Like, that would be amazing. And, like, I'm trying everything in my power to make that happen so that I can get that $60 before WrestleMania 30 and still have 6 months of HD fucking content from ever. Because if there's one thing that I do more than anything else, it's freaking look at wrestling shit.
Yeah.
Just on YouTube. Like, it's a time killer for me. I wouldn't call it an obsession, because it's not like, oh, I gotta look up wrestling videos. It's like, I'm on YouTube anyway, I might as well watch wrestling.
Yeah, and I mean, you only increase your knowledge, and
like, I'll like do it while I'm doing other things too. Like, I'll play a video game while watching wrestling, or shit like that. It's a very easy thing to do. And the WWE Network would make that so much better. Because it's like an app that you can have on your computer, your phone. I think it goes right through the WWE app.
It goes on everything basically. A PS3, 360,
PS3,
Roku.
Yeah, it's literally Netflix for just wrestling
on steroids. No pun intended.
Yeah. No, like totally on steroids, because even Netflix has limitations. Like, from what they're making it sound like, the WWE Network is going to be just like all of this. Like, basically, you're going to have wrestling history in your hand.
I like that because you can't really find that much 1980s footage unless you really go out of your way to look for it on YouTube.
Absolutely. And even then, it's going to be the shittiest quality you can ever imagine.
Right, standard definition.
Not even standard. You'd be lucky to find like 240,
240.
of 1980s footage, like. So, like, even if you're a young fan who is curious about the past, maybe you're an old fan who wants to relive your old nostalgia. Maybe you're a fan that just missed the Attitude Era and you're pissed at yourself because you just missed it. And
right.
Like me, I'm a good example of that. Like, I consider myself a baby of the Attitude Era, but literally I started watching right after it was over.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about doing it, because even if you did watch it back then, you know how, like, when you play a video game, like, you play something that's complex when you're a kid, but then you play it when you're an adult and you understand the game a lot more. Yeah.
You look at it through a whole new light.
Yeah, like, this was a genius storyline.
Yeah, to give you an example, the invasion angle back in 2001. When I was a kid, and I got tapes of that. Like, obviously, I didn't get to see it myself, but I saw tapes of it, and I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh man, WCW wrestlers are coming in. Oh, Booker T's the best, shit like that. But watching old school invasion stuff now, I can see why it was bad. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Booker T wasn't technically a top star, but he was like one of the best that they could do. They didn't have Scott Steiner come in. They didn't have Ric Flair until right after the invasion ended. They didn't have Hulk Hogan until right after the invasion ended. They didn't have Kevin Nash until right after the invasion ended.
Yeah, to work with the talent they have and just make them believe.
Right.
Yeah, he's the WCW World Champ. He's a big deal.
Right. So basically it was a bunch of mid-card and below guys from WCW showing up and trying to intimidate high-level guys from WWF, and it just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe that a guy like Booker T at the time is going to be a threat to fucking The Rock or Stone Cold.
Right.
Even though he was legitimately their champion at the time, I believe.
5 times.
Yeah, but he just wasn't over the same way like a Scott Steiner would have been,
Yeah.
But on the same token, it's kind of interesting because DDP, like, he was one of WCW's like greatest, but he was nothing more than a mid-carder when he came to WWF, So, I mean, if DDP got that reaction, then why wouldn't a guy like Scott Steiner? And, I mean, Goldberg would have been a huge acquisition at the time.
Man, imagine if Goldberg was leading the invasion.
Yeah, Goldberg leading the invasion. Who's next? Like, all the fucking way. Like,
it would have been too perfect because of his song too, with like he going into battle, like a gladiator or something.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, but that's all old news.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting a little bit off topic here. Well, actually, no, it was about the WWE Network, so that's perfectly on topic.
Which is based on nostalgia.
Right.
Yeah.
So what else we got?
But yeah, other than that, I think it's a good investment if you can afford it. It'll take you years to probably finish it because it's real years of wrestling. But yeah. But guess we can branch over to Impact Wrestling. Oh man, Impact.
AKA Genesis Part 1.
Oh my god. Mid-cards and promos for 2 hours.
Oh man, Genesis Part 1. They didn't tell us shit about this either. That's the funny thing. They advertise this cage match between Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode, which could have actually been decent. And they're like, oh, sorry guys, that's next week.
I like how they
Yeah.
They try to make a kayfabe and play into it, but they really know they have to schedule it for next week.
Yeah, like, the funny thing is that that taping was all one shot.
Mm-hmm.
So we literally got the first 2 hours of Genesis. We got an undercard.
You know, imagine if this was all one big pay-per-view that happened in one night. That mean Genesis would have been like 5 hours, including all the promos that they did with all the.
Genesis would have been about 4 hours.
Oh my god!
And the thing that irks me about that is that the people who went to see it live, they did get all 4 hours, but that means they got Sting in like 3 matches, like a bunch of promos for the first 2 hours. There's probably going to be just as many promos for the second 2 hours. They got freaking a bunch of screw jobs. Jesus Christ.
So it was pretty much Genesis Cross open fight night.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Although, I can tell you that Sting is going to be retiring from TNA.
Oh, really?
Because what we found out at the end of Genesis Part 1 was that in Genesis Part 2, aka the main event, which kind of pisses me off because that means Sting is going to be in the main event over a cage match. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be Sting versus Magnus, a match that no one wants to see, for the title. But if Sting loses, then his renewed contract gets ripped up.
And we already know it's going to be an action figure frenzy like AJ versus Magnus. That was a terrible match. They had like the whole roster in the ring.
Yeah, it's probably going to be just like that. Man. But I will make some predictions. I do believe that we're going to see Austin Aries take back his X Division belt. And I don't remember seeing him lose it. Maybe it's just because, like, there were a couple of weeks where I just said, fuck TNA and didn't watch it. But, like, he's going to get that back. Like, there's no way that he's not. Austin Aries, in my opinion, is the only reason to watch Impact right now. Robert Roode is good, but he doesn't do it for me like Austin Aries does. Like, he is essentially TNA's CM Punk, and it really pissed me off after Bound for Glory that one year when he lost the title. Like, he should have kept going with that. Like, just to give it back to Jeff Hardy. Like, I love Jeff Hardy as much as the next Jeff fan, but come on, man. Like, he doesn't need that title. He doesn't.
He has a pretty good spot as a main eventer, but he doesn't need to be the world champ all the time.
And then when he has the title, he brings out the stupid-ass purple fucking Divas Championship. It really bothers me because this TNA title, the World TNA title, is probably my favorite active belt right now. Yeah. Like, as far as looks go, like, I think it's really attractive.
The blue lettering, too, makes it look nice.
It's actually silver lettering. But the light that reflects off of it makes it look blue.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I thought it was blue.
Yeah.
You noticed Magnus and AJ has two different versions. Like, AJ's belt was shinier, I believe.
That's probably because one of theirs was probably a brand new, like, newly made replica that didn't have a bunch of shit and stuff on it from carrying it around everywhere.
True.
Yeah.
What else is there to say about it? Now, I guess there was two interesting things about TNA this past week, though. How there's a new investor, apparently, which they're going to fit that into the storyline, so I guess we're going to be seeing people pop up to combat the Dixieland people.
Who do you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be someone we know about or somebody that no one's really going to care about?
I feel like it'd be someone, if it's somebody we already know, it could be anywhere from like Jeff Jarrett, Hulk Hogan, to just somebody else who had practices in the wrestling world.
Here's why I'm excited about it, though, and I didn't even think about it until right now. Mm-hmm. These matches that we kept getting, where everybody is just like, every heel in the company is bombarding a challenger and making them lose and shit.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't want to keep seeing that.
No.
So having a new investor in the company who can be a check to Dixie, heel Dixie, that's going to be much better for that. because, we already saw that this investor has the power to sign talent over Dixie's head. So that means that they can serve as a foil so that Dixie's not just fucking blowing up the shit and having the heels just go over because it's not a real match anymore, It's like, oh, this match is going to be no DQ, and by the way, you're going to have to fight 10 guys who aren't technically in the match.
Oh my god. Yeah, at least, having a balance of power that way, knowing there's another force gives the belief that, things will still look interesting. Now, relating to it was how the American Wolves were signed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just gonna branch off topic a little bit, and it's still related to that. They were trying to get into WWE at first, but they got turned down because I guess when Triple H and them was looking at them fighting, they didn't do a spot correctly, and Triple H said they were done. So it looks like the Wolves weren't going to TNA was the first choice. But
I mean, who in their right mind would want to go to TNA first?
Yeah, maybe a few years back when they were hot and they actually had everything from top main eventers to an actual knockouts division bigger than like 3 people. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about that. If you ever want to be in WWE, you pretty much have to go there first, because no matter what you did beforehand, you're not going to be the same person. The only person within the modern era that managed to be the same as their indie career and or TNA career has been, actually I can think of 2 examples. First one, RVD, because he went to TNA and came back, but he was always RVD, so you couldn't really bring him in with a name like Bradley Farmington and shit. People are going to know that's RVD.
True.
But the biggest example I could, he was just a big fluke, because like the only reason they didn't make him change his name is because like no one in WWE except for Paul Heyman gave a shit about him. So like he came in, he was still CM Punk, he wasn't Chadwick Wellington. He was CM Punk. He got over doing the things he did best, and now he's a top guy who still has the same identity he did back when he was in the Indies, back when he was in TNA.
It's like that chosen ones.
Yeah, it was a giant fluke. Like, it was a stroke of luck.
Yeah,
but the American Wolves, let's say they become a great tag team in TNA. Let's say they come to WWE at one point. They're not going to be the American Wolves anymore. They're going to be like Sir Frederick Winkleton.
Oh my god, because they actually love gimmicks in WWE.
Yeah, it's going to be ridiculous. But, maybe they could have been the American Wolves in WWE, but now that they're in TNA, you could pretty much kiss that gimmick goodbye one day.
Now, the thing about them being in TNA is this is kind of like a golden chance for TNA to not mess it up, because if they do take them seriously, the first thing they should do is take the belts off the tag belts off the Bromans and put them on the Wolves, at least if they want to make their image look better than it has lately. So,
well, see, I got no problem with the Bromans being tag team champions, mainly because the only tag team I really care about right now is fucking Ego. I forget their... Oh, Bad Influence.
Yeah, Bad Influence.
Like,
oh my god!
But the thing about them is I want them to be a hell of a lot higher on the card than tag team champions. Yeah. Like, I want to see them in contention for fucking the TNA title, but they won't be because now they're a joke.
Yeah, they could be those guys that kind of look like the underdogs, but they actually are a legit team that can fight off the bigger people.
Yeah, but after you had Kurt Angle squash them both in a tag team match, a tag team handicap match in a steel cage, you're not really, you're kind of driving their credibility into the ground a little bit. They're just a joke tag team right now.
It's like they're slightly above the mid card, but not quite main event.
No, they're farther below mid card.
No.
They're not doing anything. They lost in the tag team division to the Bromans. Literally, the tag team that was at the lowest of TNA's card. But now they're tag team champions.
Tag team that was made up because both guys has a Jersey Shore gimmick.
Right. Like, it's just a tag team. It's literally the 3MB of TNA.
Mm-hmm.
And now, two of the best wrestlers in TNA are lower on the card than those guys.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
By the way, Gail Kim losing the Knockouts title, that was hella anticlimactic. But, I don't know. I still think Tamina with AJ works better than Lady Tapa and Gail Kim.
You want to know why that is? Because no one gives a fuck about Gail Kim.
Right. Now,
like,
years ago, she was amazing. Like, Gail Kim was the shit.
I mean, like, I still like Gail Kim.
Me too. But,
in general. But, like, she keeps being heel. She scream like a fucking kid anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they need to fucking... They need to make her a baby face, for one. And I know it's like, well, then who would be the top women's heel? Fucking Lady Tapa.
Lady Tapa.
She's a monster.
She doesn't even have to shoot a promo to be a heel. She can just have that intimidating presence, and that's all she needs.
Yeah. Like, if anything, she needs to be a manager. I mean, she needs to have a manager.
Right.
Needs to have
it should be the reverse, right? Yeah.
Right. Like, fucking the same way, like Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar.
Just thinking that too, yeah.
Yeah. Like, who could they have as a manager for her? I don't know. But she could use one. And make Gail Kim a babyface so that she doesn't have to fucking chirp at the loudest possible volume that she could possibly chirp at every single promo she cuts.
Yeah.
And speaking of promos, stop giving these women microphones. I know that sounds like a bad thing to say, but zero women are good on the mic in TNA. Only one woman is good on the mic in general, and that's AJ. And I don't think anybody can dispute that.
Yeah, AJ does have good mic skills.
Yeah, like, she's the first woman in a while that has good mic skills. I can't remember if I thought Lita had good mic skills, because that's not what I remember her for.
Mm-hmm.
But, Lita being my old favorite diva. I can't really, like, I think Trish was pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't remember, though. It feels like it's been so long since those two have been around, and it's really pretty sad.
Yeah, they were legends in the women's division.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really a big fan of heels not really bringing anything to the table with the storyline, because Gail is just heel to be heel,
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And, like, they like, gave us, I think, the worst possible replacement as a Knockouts champion, because I care about fucking whatever her name is, Madison Rayne.
Yeah.
Even less than I care about Del Rio. I didn't even think that was possible.
She just kind of randomly came back on Impact, but they didn't really hype her up enough for us to want her to be champion, because before, she was like the big heel champion for some time. But, yeah, but her just randomly getting it back, it's like, what is this going to do? Lady Top is still going to be following around Gail Kim, like, get my master's belt back.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
I think the only way it could be more racist is if Gail Kim was actually white.
Right. Asian.
So, go slave, get my belt.
Asian woman, Samoan servant.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else is there to say? So I wonder if we're going to see AJ on TV anytime soon. And he's pretty much just like, I'm doing my own thing in the indies at the moment. Like he's a freelancer or something.
I mean, like, he doesn't have a contract anymore.
So he must be a freelancer, man.
Yeah, he's working with Ring of Honor right now. But yeah, like AJ and fucking Austin Aries were like the only reasons I watched TNA.
Yeah.
And now with AJ gone and Austin Aries kind of just struggling at the mid card level, like I don't really like it's hard to make me excited about TNA right now.
It's weird that he was in the world title picture at some point, and
Well,
now he's back. Because I mean, in WWE, it's either once you win the world title, you'll become a normal main eventer after a while. I mean, somebody like, let me see, somebody like Miz is kind of a different situation. Like, he was WWE champion for a good run, but now he just kind of became the let me hype up the pre-show guy or
well,
commentator.
the thing about Miz is that he shouldn't have been the guy to get a WWE title. He would have been a guy that got the world title. It's just that instead of being on SmackDown, he was on Raw. That's what it kind of feels like to me. Because, like, you think of, like, all the other guys that have had world titles but are now in the undercard or, like, lower mid-card. You got guys like Dolph Ziggler, fucking kind of Alberto Del Rio. Fucking Jack Swagger. You know, like, these guys, they held the world title. Like, Del Rio held the WWE title.
He held both, and he's, like, kind of just mid-carding right now.
Yeah, like, literally, the fact that he held the WWE title is the only thing that keeps him from being, like, super low tier.
Mm-hmm. Mid-tier now, huh?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I think it's because they tried pushing him too hard, and now they don't want to swallow their pride and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be stubborn about it. Like, nope, we're still going to use them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we covered a lot of interesting aspects, because it's pretty much all we have to say about Impact Wrestling and TNA.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about the company right now.
Billy Ray, still don't know what he's about to do with this gimmick, this dark gimmick, but I guess we'll see in the coming weeks.
Dark gimmick? You mean where he wears a fucking hoodie?
Right.
Like, because his in-ring style hasn't changed. His clothes out, like, in the ring hasn't changed.
Still has the same music.
Yeah. He's still wrestling the way he normally does. Like, I don't know. Like, they haven't changed him at all, really. It just seems like he's depressed about losing the title, and that's all it is. He'll get over it once he pile drives a few guys.
Right. Yeah. That's cool, so we should just go ahead and wrap up the show now, or you have any other thoughts you'd like to say?
Something I realized the other day, and this is only kind of on topic, but I used to think that I'd never be able to forgive a woman for cheating, but then Lita happened. And I still think about how I'd like to plow her.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my final anecdote for the day.
Food for thought, kiddies.
Exactly.
Alright then, yeah, we'll just end it here then.
Alright, you guys, for all the 3 people that decided to listen, thank you for listening. I have been Lunakage.
And Glenburg.
And we will see you next time.
On Midwest Anime Wrestling Scene.
The MAWS Talks Wrestling.
Okay. Have a good night, guys. Peace.